Well, if you thought Sean and Colleen took on a huge project, then wait till you see this one in Margate that I came to see back in 2010 when the town was going through a process of regeneration. The property went to auction, guided at 100 to 110,000, and it had the potential to give the purchaser a few sleepless nights.
The property I'm here to see is at the end of Margate High Street and very close to the harbour, and also once built the new Turner Gallery. Now, it was a former pub, this, and as you can see, it's pretty derelict, it's run down, but it's one of the oldest buildings in the area. And not so surprisingly, it's Grade 2 listed. I'm going to go inside and have a look. Wow. Do you know what? When you walk into a place like this that's closed up, got no life in it, it feels incredibly sad to see an old derelict pub and restaurant just left like this. You can see the restaurant was obviously over here, along here, the bar area, but it really feels dead. Look, there's bits and pieces left over from fun times. I think somebody's even left an old pint of beer. Looks pretty disgusting. This place is going to take an awful lot of money and an awful lot of work to get it up and running again. But the day those boards come off the windows and the light floods in, this place will be alive again. And I, for one, would love to be here on that day.
Yep, the bar has seen better days, but the space is enormous. And as if that wasn't enough, through the back of the bar, there's a large kitchen, which needs new appliances and, well, a bit of a scrub. And under the bar, there's a real surprise, a huge cellar that runs the whole length of the ground floor. And with all the kit you need to pour your first pint in here. Upstairs, there's a long function suite, complete with bar and 2 sets of toilets, and you might have to spend a penny or two bringing them up to standard. But that doesn't compare to the cost of issues at the end of the corridor. This room will have to be made safe and a new ceiling put in. And it keeps going. I'm off exploring on the top floor, where there is a flat perfect for a pub manager, which sits across the building next door. There's plenty of space, a small bathroom, but sadly, there's lots of plastering and structural work needed up here also. I'm going to head back downstairs before I get completely lost in here. On the landing, there's a small office too. All this for a guide price of 100 to 110,000 is pretty amazing. But there is a problem. The Grade 2 listing affects inside and out. So you can't put up a burglar alarm or a satellite dish without permission, never mind swinging a sledgehammer in here. So it might be appealing to convert this into flats, but even if you do get around the problem of the listing, there's another issue.
Well, this property is located pretty much in a business, not residential area, and the local planning office may have issues with the lack of allocated parking for residents of any flats built here. Added to that, this old pub is right next to the Old Cottage car park, which is due to become one of the main car parking areas of the visitors of the new Turner Gallery. So everyone who parks here will be walking right past here. You know, that sort of passing trade is heaven for a commercial business. So I think keeping this pub or restaurant, which will serve the needs of visiting tourists, is definitely the way to go.
Clearly, there's a lot of potential for a new business venture, but just how tricky can this Grade 2 listing prove to be? A local estate agent can explain.
You do have to get quite serious permissions, but the other benefit of it being Grade 2 listed is there will be grants available to bring it back to its original condition. Many years ago, this was quite a thriving restaurant cum pub. I've actually had a few nights here myself, which has been quite good fun, and also it was always very good for Sunday lunch. I think this would make an ideal art gallery, perhaps blended with an upmarket coffee shop or restaurant.
All good ideas, but what value does it have as a commercial premises? And bear in mind, the agent thinks your development budget might be in the region of £60,000.
if it was brought back to its original condition and refurbished, I think you could achieve in the region of £160,000. If this property was refurbished and made into, for example, a bar or restaurant, you could achieve a sort of rental of around about £12,000 to £15,000 per annum.
Whoever takes on this property is taking on a project and a half. Not only is it a major renovation, but you've got that Grade 2 listing to consider. You know, that really could slow up restoration work. But it's in a fantastic spot, it's close to the new Turner Gallery, and it's on the high street. So who fancied becoming the landlord of the Old Cottage Pub? Let's find out and head to auction.
It's close to the harbour, loads of accommodation over 4 floors, stunning looking building, lots of potential there. Where are you going to bid me? Start where? 100 to 110. Coming in at 100,000 anywhere? £100,000, you know it's worth it. 100,000 can I see? Give me 90 then. 90 to get me on the way, 85 I'll take, and it's a lot of building for £85,000, real good spec. £85,000 bid I've got on the right, at the back. 85,000 I've got, 90 I'm looking for now. £90,000 do I see. At £85,000 only, and 90 I want. Worth every penny of it, and we all done at £85,000. With you, sir, at 85. 90 I'm looking for, £90,000 bid I've got. 92 may I say now, 92 may I say. At 92, I've got 90, it's in the room, 92 I'm looking for. I've got £90,000 on my left and I will sell for the first time. £90,000, you're going to miss it for the second time. Third and final time at £90,000. Bought yourself a pub, sir.
And our auction romantics, who grabbed 4 fantastic floors for £90,000, £10,000 less than the lower guide price, are David and his partner Stephanie. David is retired, having been in the fire service, while Stephanie is an artist. So what persuaded them to purchase this pub?
David, how did you find this place?
Well, purely by chance, really. I was looking to add to my portfolio, and I was going through, as you do, trolling through all the different lot numbers that are available from different companies. Very, very late one night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and the computer kind of found it for me, really. One minute it wouldn't turn off, and the next minute it was on the page, so I started to read it. It was quite fluky.
So you hadn't thought, oh, that looks good, I'll have a little look at that. It found you?
Yeah, really. I mean, I was looking for a residential property and ended up with a pub with opportunities.
So you weren't looking for a pub? Both of you didn't think about starting a business?
No, nothing like that.
David, when not long after we first met, we were both trying to figure out something we could do together, and this kind of just happened, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a gift, really, in several ways.
Is that how you feel, that you've got it for an amazing price, it found you?
I still can't believe nobody else was interested. Either I'm raving mad, or there's a lot of people made a serious mistake.
Well, I don't think David's mad, but they've certainly taken on a very big project, and I'm intrigued by their plans. Like I said, Stephanie is an artist, and I think their vision does have a creative twist.
It's not going to be a pub. It's not going to be a wine bar. It's not going to be a bistro or a cafe. It's kind of the vision we've got for it is a bit of all of that, and particularly from an artistic theme. You know, with what we've got planned for the cellar, as it exists at the moment, and upstairs, we like to think they'll all sort of combine, and it's just going to turn into, I hope, you know, a really nice meeting place and a really unusual venue for people to share their skills and experiences.
So you've brought some plans along with you today, haven't you?
Yes, I did them.
You did these?
Yes.
So you've got experience of drawing plans up?
Well, I now do.
Does being an artist mean you can put your hand to anything?
Yes, I can. Yes.
David, talk me through them.
Yeah, this is the ground floor. As you see, the existing bar's right over here and takes up a huge amount of space on the ground floor. This is a nice free-form shape bar here. And the plan is to move the access and egress from behind the bar at the moment to an accommodation staircase over here. And then as we go downstairs, we're going to have that opened up, just a few chairs, maybe a couple of tables and chairs, but in order for people to go down with a glass of alcohol, a beverage, and just enjoy what could actually lean much more towards gallery space. So I artists can display their works down there, use the area down there for their own personal display, and of course the artists, and this is where we come to the first floor, they will be producing their work hopefully up there in one of 7 different studios we're planning on developing.
The first floor, that is currently the function suite, will become 7 artist studios. So that's a basement art gallery, a ground floor bar, the artist studios on the first floor, and they want to renovate the top floor flat. So are this ambitious pair done yet? Not by a long shot.
There's what was going to just be a manager's flat upstairs, and we've had an extraordinary twist of good fortune again, in that one of the council officers themselves hinted quite strongly, would I be prepared in the development to put the roof back that should be there? Which came as a bit of a shock, because we've got a flat roof, and I didn't think it was in keeping with the rest of the street. What he's saying is, would we be prepared to put the pitch roof back, the barn-style roof that should be there if you look at the ones next door? It's going to be a flat.
So you are planning on adding a flat above this?
Yeah, it means we can have a flat on top of the flat that we've got, and they don't either have to be necessarily connected to the rest of the building. The flats can be entirely separate from the rest of the building, doesn't have to be occupied by the manager. They can be a totally different, separate 2 units.
And what's your budget then?
We haven't, to be honest, set a figure. I know that sounds reckless.
It's reckless, and I want to hear a figure.
I did eventually get David to go on the record saying that the budget would be £100,000. Stephanie thinks that the project will take a year in total. But with several commercial areas, have they worked out when they'll be in profit?
It sounds a bit ridiculous, but the fact is that because of what we pay for it, and the studio floor level, when we create those and let them out on a monthly basis, that will pay for the entire building. And the daft thing is that really, we only have to sell a sandwich in the commercial areas and we're in profit.
So 1 sandwich a day, and you're in profit.
Sounds flippant, but that's pretty much it, you know.
I'm really excited. Can't wait to hear all the news. Good luck, both of you. It's been lovely to meet you, Steph.
Too.
Well done.
Thank you.
David, thank you very
Nice to
much.
meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think David and Stephanie have got fantastic plans for this old pub. I think I'm as excited as they are. And with the Turner Gallery opening up, well, they could really be onto a winner with their art gallery come restaurant come bar concept. And if David gets permission for that extra flat on the roof, this could be one profitable venture. Find out what happens later on in the programme.
Back now to Margate and this former pub which sprawled over 4 floors. The Grade 2 listed pub was bought at auction in 2010 for £90,000 by retired fireman turned property developer David, who, with the help of his artist partner Stephanie, had grand plans for the building. With a bar and a kitchen on the ground floor, gallery space in the basement, and 7 artist studios on the first floor.
It's just going to turn into, I hope, you know, a really nice meeting place and a really unusual venue for people to share their skills and experiences.
If that's not enough, they were also planning to overhaul the manager's flat and then add a whole new floor above that with a second flat.
The flats can be entirely separate from the rest of the building, doesn't have to be occupied by the manager. They can be a totally different, separate 2 units.
Despite the building's Grade 2 listing, David and Stephanie were planning on spending just 1 year and £100,000 on all the work. Almost 5 years after our first visit, the Turner Contemporary Gallery is up and running. But have David and Stephanie turned the old pub into a Turner-esque masterpiece?
To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven.
So work has only just started. Wranglings with the council over health and safety and access issues have meant that they only started clearing the site 4 weeks ago. But in the 5 years or so since we were first here, David and Stephanie have actually changed their plans for the old pub.
We were going to have art studios on the upper floor, but we'd like very much to incorporate the new movement towards very special artisan real ales, and to use the bar as an outlet for that, as well as having a microbrewery in the basement, which could actually supply locally as well, all with locally sourced ingredients. So I think we've had to use the space really that we had planned to use for art studios in order to store the necessary bottles and casks for the brewery in the basement.
With the council on side, work can commence on the new project now. But stripping the building back has revealed some interesting finds. A railway timetable from 1902 and a fireplace from much, much earlier.
Well, this is the area of the back of the old kitchen, and in front of this here was the old gas cooker. Absolutely gorgeous. According to the local authority, when they saw this, they said the only other one locally that they know of is in a pub not very far from here, and that's why they can date it so accurately, and they are convinced it's something in the order of 1650, and it's a wonderful, wonderful find.
Yes, a wonderful find indeed. Not so wonderful is some of the woodwork exposed in the stripping out. Clearly, there's a good deal of restoration work to do here. But on top of what was the old manager's one-bed flat, David is still keen to create a whole new studio flat.
That flat on the very top we'd like to keep for our own private use, and the views from the very top flat should be quite spectacular.
So a microbrewery to come in the basement, a bar on the ground floor, storage and 2 flats above that. Now that they've started, how long does David think it will take to get the whole thing up and running?
We only started about 4 weeks ago, but what we've achieved in 4 weeks is indicating very clearly that we could have the brewery open and running in the basement within 6, worst case scenario, perhaps 9 months, and we think that the entire building could now be finished within a year.
And does he think they can stick to their £100,000 budget?
Thanks to the help they've been getting, both from the local authority and personal friends and family, I think I can honestly say I'll be well within that original budget. In order to strip the building to look at the problems and what we really have to face, I've probably only spent £2,000 or £3,000 so far, which is an extraordinarily low sum, and given the amount of work we've done in such a short space of time.
With 5 years having passed since our last visit, we asked along 2 local property experts to get their thoughts. First up, the agent who saw the pub before work commenced.
Since we last came to look at the property, there's been substantial changes. Obviously, they're looking to completely refurbish the property, starting from scratch, and you can really see that from the works that they've done so far.
I've looked at the plans for the overall building. The design is good. They're making very good use of the space, particularly like what they're doing with the top floor, which is going to have some fantastic views across the beach and down to the Turner Centre and across the town, of course. So overall, very interesting.
Clearly, the building is just a shell at the moment, and at this stage, it's impossible to put a value on the businesses that David plans to start up here. But the estate agent reckons that from the plans, the 2 flats could generate a combined rental income between £800 and £1,100 per calendar month, or they might sell for between £60,000 and £100,000 each. So there's money to be made there.
Grateful for the information, but no interest to me at all for the foreseeable future.
In fact, David has already been offered £250,000 for the building as it stands. But he's in it for the long term, and he's committed to making a success of the microbrewery, bar and flats.
The most important thing of all of this is that it's not something you get the opportunity to do every day. In fact, once in a lifetime, perhaps, to be given the opportunity to turn a very old building crying out for help into something magical again. And from 1650, the days of Oliver Cromwell, this building deserves to come back.
And fingers crossed, a year or so from now, we can come back and see the finished article.